Hi everyone, welcome to today's English lesson. We're going to carry on with the story of Bigu and use our aliens that hopefully you created at home yesterday. We're going to get started with a bit of a vocab blast. So I've got two words at the top here which we've looked at over the past couple of days. So here I've got the word because and here I've got question. Now, can you remember what these words mean? Have a little think. Yes. So if we use because, we're using it to explain the reason for something happening, okay? So for example, Miss Reed is feeling hungry because she hasn't had enough breakfast, okay? Then we have the word question. Now, a question is a verb, it's an action, but it's also a noun as well. So if we are going to question somebody, we are going to ask them something in order to find out more information. But it can also be a noun because a question is something that we are, it can also be a verb because it's something that we are doing. Okay, so a question is something that we are asking somebody to find out more information, and the verb is when we are questioning somebody as well. So here I've got three sentences that you can see. I want you to pause the screen, have a little read of them, and think which word goes in these spaces. Is it because or is it question? So have a little read. Fabulous. Right, I'm going to go through the answers now. So number one, it says, do you want to ask Do you want to ask So is it because or is it a question? What is something that we ask? What did we say? Yes, it's question. Okay, so do you want to ask a question? Well done if you got that correct at home. Number two, here we've got Bigu was glum. She didn't know anyone. Bigu was glum. She didn't know anyone. So this is the reason for this. So the conjunction is because. Well done if you got that. And the last one down at the bottom, I am cold. It isn't sunny today. So yet again, we've got that reason. So the word is because. So well done if you joined in with that at home. And now we're going to move back into our story of Bigu. And I just want us to spend a couple of seconds having a look at these pictures and trying to say what has happened in our story from the beginning all the way through to the end, okay? So just spend a couple of minutes talking about that at home before I go through it. Super, so well done if you've done that. So right at the start of the story, Bigu crashed her plane, didn't she? Okay, she crashed her spaceship. And she didn't know where she was, and she started communicating to things, but some of them didn't understand her, and some of them wouldn't even stay to listen. Can you remember the leaves? They were flying away. But then she did find somewhere to be nice and cozy, and she found a box where the puppies were outside the puppy shelter, but the man took her away, didn't he? And he said she couldn't stay in there. And in the distance, she thought she heard her mum ringing, but actually it was a phone ringing. But she made her way to the city where she saw and heard lots of strange and unfamiliar things. And she ended up on a playground with some children at school. And she loved the hula hoop, didn't she, and the skipping ropes. But even then, the teacher said that she wasn't welcome. So she went off into the city with her hoop that her friends gave her, and she fell asleep under the stars, and she was feeling rather glum and rather lonely. But at the end, something amazing happened, and her parents and their spaceship transported Bigu back up to where she belongs, and at the end of the story, Bigu was back with her mum and dad. And she said, didn't she, that the earthlings weren't that friendly, but she only liked the little ones, which were the children. She was hoping that they would remember her just like she would remember them. And I've hoped you've really enjoyed learning about Bigu because I've really enjoyed it. And I think it's a lovely story. And I'm glad that Bigu at the end of the story managed to get home as well. So I want us to have a little go at planning out Bigu on a story mountain. So we've done story mountains a little bit before, and I want us to be thinking about where the story mountains are set, who is involved, what is happening, what's the resolution, and what's the ending, okay? So I'm going to do the one for Bigu first, but then I've got a special job where I want you to help me with something in a minute. So in our story, it was set in a city, wasn't it? Okay, so it was set in a city. We could even say that in the story there was also a playground, because that's another place that they were, and they were also at a dog shelter. Okay, so they're the different places where the story was set. If we're thinking about who was in the story, we'd be saying Bigu. We'd say the children. We could say the people in the city. We could also say Bigu and her parents. You might put Bigu and her parents here. You might also want to put about the puppies being there. Oh, apologies. You might also want to put about the puppies being in the city as well, because can you remember that's where she went, didn't she, in the box? So there's lots of people in this story. I want us to think what has happened right at the beginning of the story. Well, I know that at the beginning of the story, Bigu crashed her spaceship, didn't she? She crashed into the planet Earth. And she also went to find some friends because she was lonely, but that wasn't very successful, okay? But the resolution and the things that made her happy was that she met some children in a playground. That's something that made her happy and she felt a bit better. But also, what did she do after she'd gone to meet the children in the playground? She went on her own, didn't she? Left the city. And once she'd left the city, at the end of the story, her mum and dad came. Brought her home. So they're the different parts or different elements of my story. And it's really important that we can do that for Bigu, because today we're going to use our aliens that we created last week and yesterday to write our own alien story in the style of Bigu about our own alien crash landing into somewhere. So I've popped up my little alien on the screen here, and if you remember, mine was called Flike. Okay, so here is Flike, my alien, and I'm going to create a story similar to Bigu about Flike crash landing somewhere that she doesn't know. So you need to get your alien out for yesterday so that you can use them in today's task. So we're going to plan our own story today, and I want us to think about where will your alien crash and who will he or she speak to? And I've put a few ideas that you don't have to use, but you might want to use up on the screen. So we've got a desert, a mountain range, maybe a supermarket, a beach, a fun fair, a park, or even underwater, meadow hall, swimming pool, library, Tesco's, the school playground, the fields, maybe outdoors somewhere, and another different park we've got there. So have a little think. Where do you want your alien to crash? So in my story, the alien will crash. Okay. And who will your alien speak to? Think again. In my story, the alien. Okay, I know. who my alien will speak to and where my alien will crash. So I've decided that my alien, Jake, is going to crash into a swimming pool. Okay, so Jake is going to crash into a swimming pool. And whilst she is there, she is going to talk to all the children, talk to the lifeguards and the cleaners, and talk to the inflatables, okay, like the rubber rings or the armbands and the slides, because she doesn't know that they can't talk, okay? So they're the different things. And then when you think about how your alien will get home. So will they be transported up somewhere? Will they go through a magic door maybe? Will they jet off somewhere? Will somebody take them to a different place? Have a little think. I know, I've had an idea about mine. So I think that my aliens my alien, is going to get home by going down a slide. And when they get to the bottom of the slide, they will just slide back to their home rather than slide in the swimming pool. That's what I've decided. Maybe yours will be a bit different. So we're going to have a go then at plotting our story on our story mountains, okay? And I don't want your story to be the same as my story. I want your story to be about your character and think about the different places where they can go. Okay, and we're going to use this to, on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, write our own story about our alien. So make sure you do this today because you'll need it to help you. So first of all, we were thinking about where this was going to take place. So I said that it was going to take place in a swimming pool. Okay, all right, a leisure centre. And then I thought about who was going to be in mine. Well, obviously my alien Flyke is going to be in there, like Flyke. I'm also going to have some children, children, children in it. I'm also going to have the lifeguard. Now the I sound in life is a split digraph, but the guard sound is quite tricky. Okay, so lifeguard. Flyke's mum and dad need to be on there as well, don't they? Flyke's mum and dad. Great. Okay, so what's going to happen? So Flyke is going to crash into the pool. Now, I'm not writing my whole story on here. I'm just writing key bits, key phrases, because I'm going to use this plan to take all these ideas off and then write my full ideas down. Okay, so I don't need to write exact phrases on it just yet. So crash in the pool and talks to slides and inflatables. Maybe we could even say gets lost in the lockers. Yeah. Like that. You know where you put your clothes? That's a locker. And we can lock all our things in there. Resolution. What might you say for resolution? Just move these up a little bit so you can see. They're all separate sentences. There we go. Apologies. And then here, resolution. So how we're fixing it. So the children could make friends with Flyke and show her how to use the slides. Yeah, children make friends with Flyke. And then because once she knows how to use the slides, can you remember what was happening at the end of my story? I remember that Flyke was going to go straight down and go home. She would go down the slide, and instead of coming out into the water, she'd go into sort of like a black hole and it would take her back to space. So, and black hole, home through the black hole. Okay, I think that's a good ending. So as you can see from here, I've not really written that much detail. I've decided on my events, I've put them in the right order, but now I'm going to go back and just see if I can use some adjectives to describe some of the things that are going to happen in my story. So for example, I might here, instead of saying home through the black hole, I add more information to describe how dark and gloomy it is. Oh, I might have gloomy black hole. Yeah, there's a great adjective. Here I might say, instead of stuck, I like trapped. Gets trapped in a chilly. Chilly means cold. Yeah, a chilly locker. So now I've included some adjectives. And remember I said we're not writing the full story today, we're just plotting it out. So I'm going to go back through it and just make sure that I've included everything I need to and that I've put my events in the right order so that my story makes sense from start to the end. So at the beginning of my story, I said it was going to be set in a swimming pool / leisure centre, okay? And the people or the characters involved in my story are Flyke, Flyke's mum and dad, here's Flyke up here, children and a lifeguard, okay? What's going to happen? Well, Flyke's going to crash into a pool of water. She's going to be talking to slides and inflatables, but they're not going to understand her because they don't speak the same language. And then she's going to get trapped in a chilly locker. Once she's been found in the locker, the children are going to make friends with Flyke and show her how to go down all the slides and how to use all the exciting equipment at the swimming pool. And then at the end of my story, she's going to go down one really big slide, the most enormous slide in the water park at the leisure centre. And then the bottom, she's going to go home through the gloomy black hole at the bottom of the slides. And her mum and dad will be there waiting for her. So now it's over to you. I want you to have a little go at creating your own plan for your story. Okay, so tomorrow and Thursday and Friday, you're going to have a little go at writing your own story, but first we need to plan it out today. So spend some time doing this, thinking about who your characters are going to be, what are they going to do in the story, because I want these pieces of writing to be the best ever. So much so that I want you to bring these in for me on Monday so we can see how super you've been doing at home, okay? So really think carefully when you're planning out these super stories. If you need to flip back through to get some ideas off any of the pictures or anything, then please do, okay? Use this to gather some ideas and pop them down in the correct order. Then keep this ready for tomorrow, so pop it to the side because you're going to need it for tomorrow's English lesson as well. Have fun doing this task, get it ready for your super story writing, and I will see you later for phonics. Bye everyone.